Good morning. My name is Robert Roark. I'm the principal at Leslie County High School. This is Daniel Day. He's basketball coach and slash about everything else. Does a great job. This is our first year with the lab, and it's been very big honor for us because we respect so many of the people that's already been up here. We learned a lot from them. And shared leadership at the high school with all the budget cuts in Eastern Kentucky. It's just so important to get people in the right place. We've lost teachers, and I know a lot of y'all have lost teachers and staff. And so in thinking about what we're going to do, shared leadership, a problem that Leslie County High School was facing, when you talk to your superintendent and he basically starts every conversation with this: Robert, you got to do something about your attendance. Betsy Lane's got 98% attendance. They've got an assistant principal over there that's took ownership. She runs kids at Hillbilly Days down, and I'm kidding you not. He's out there somewhere. Mr. Little is, and about every conversation for the last 2 years is, you're letting Betsy Lane's just whipping you. So when we were talking about what we could do at Leslie, the first thing came to mind, of course, was attendance. And that's a problem. We've got a lot of good people in Leslie County, as there are good people all over Eastern Kentucky. It's, I'm of the opinion it's the greatest place on the earth. But we've got kids, too, that need to be in school. And not only for just learning, but that's the best place for them to be, unfortunately. They have a bad home life and so forth. So we looked at our attendance. In 2014-2015, we were at 91%, 91.14. In 2015-16, we were at 91.59. And I thought, we went up almost half a point. Well, that didn't help with conversation with Mr. Little much. So this summer, when we went to Natural Bridge with the Appalachian Leadership Lab, we really wanted to concentrate on attendance. And we had some policies in place, but policies can sound good, but unless you utilize them as a school, they're just gathering dust on in a folder somewhere in a shelf. We had boys last year, athletes that were missing a lot of days, and I'll just be honest with you, we were letting them play. And it was against policy. And the idea was, I had this conversation with Daniel, this kid has nothing. Football and basketball is their life. You're going to take that from them. And we had this, and a lot of them other, and I heard this conversation, a lot of those schools weren't doing it. Why not let them play? And as a leader, I kind of dropped the ball. I'll be the first one to say. And so this year, we've really concentrated on attendance with shared leadership, and I'm going to talk about who we've kind of put in place to do that. But for the first 3 months of school, we're at 95.63. So, I'm a data guy, so what does the data tell you? We've got 107 kids with perfect attendance, and we've got 229 kids with 3 days or less. So we were looking at that, and we're looking at data. I've got about 481 kids in my high school. 290 of them do something extracurricular every day. Most of them play multiple sports, band, academic team. And so we had the policy in place. 90% attendance, they don't play sport, they don't drive, they don't walk in graduation, they don't go to prom, they don't go to senior trip, but it wasn't being enforced. And so we took the hard line at the beginning of school. First 6 weeks, we had a football game. Actually, it was going to Betsy Lane. And I had my AD, shared leadership. I said, Shannon, we've got to do something about these kids not coming to school and playing. And Shannon said, you're right. I think it's right. I think we're doing the right thing. So a couple of days before we went to Betsy Lane on a Friday, we pulled attendance clerk, and that's another part of the shared leadership. Every Monday I get a report on attendance, and she sends it to everybody that's on our attendance committee. And I had 9 players that had missed, and I sit them. And a lot of them were starters. I mean, they really were. And I didn't have as much backlash as I thought I would. In fact, this morning I've got a big game, homecoming this Friday night. 8-1 teams. They've both won their districts, and we just pulled attendance. And I sit a kid. His mom was at the school this morning at 7:00. God, it's homecoming. He's just, but he's going to have to sit. And so we've really took a stance on that. And we had the policy in place again, but we weren't enforcing it. So I talked about our AD really, and our coaches have come on board too. And a lot of that was me. You're the principal, what goes on your school, that's where the buck kind of stops. One of the things that really has helped us as far as attendance this year, we have a program at Leslie County High School called SOAR, Partner Corps SOAR. We've had Partner Corps for several years, but it was through AmeriCorps. This year it's through the state of Kentucky. It's called Partner Corps SOAR. And I have actually a retired principal who's a Partner Corps member, and he had great attendance at his grade school for years. And I went to him, and it really started at the end of last year. And I said, Damon, I really want you to take ownership of this attendance. And that's pretty much his job. And if there's a kid with a problem or we see it's becoming a problem, we meet with them one-on-one. We try to meet with those kids individually, and that's very important. So he lets me know that we do that. He does home visits and so forth. Family resource. We all got them, but are we really utilizing them? I've got kids, and you all do too. I had some kids that weren't coming to school because they were ashamed of what they were wearing. I hate to say that, but it's true. We were talking this morning on the way over here. Leslie County's lost 700 coal jobs in 2 years. We had another stat. What was it? What was it, Daniel?
36% of the population in Leslie County over the age of 18 is actually working. Only 36%. So, that's another reason why attendance is important. The only way out is through education. And like Mr. Roark said, he's blamed a lot of it on himself, but it's not himself. I think he's understood the only way to improve attendance is through this whole idea of shared leadership and trying to branch off. And if you look here on our thing, we've kind of got all the spokes of all the people that we are involving, all the way from teachers to the student body government, truancy diversion people. One of our biggest things is ARH clinic. Okay, it's how many kids have to actually leave or miss school to go to the doctor. So we have ARH Clinic who is there in-house, who has actually helped with that, where they don't have to sign out and leave class time, such as that. Social worker, we now have a social worker that is involved each day with her kids, pulling out, trying to meet with them and their needs to help the family resource and do home visits. Gear Up has helped us a ton. 21st Century, which we're involved with after school to help the kids. A lot of times they're failing classes is why we're getting them to stay in 21st Century, but we've been running a lot of the numbers on it. A lot of it has to do with attendance. That's the reason they're failing. So those are just, and I'm guessing Jennifer's probably took a picture of this you can see a lot of the people, a lot of the demographics and background of it to kind of understand what we're trying to do. It's not perfect. We're nowhere where we need to be, but we feel like we are going in the right direction. The shared leadership's really helped with it.
We've really had good buy-in, too, with our aerotechnical school. A lot of our kids, I want every kid to go to college in Leslie County, but they're not. I've got kids that are welders and electricians and carpentry, that's what they're into. So our vocational schools really come in, too, and they've said, listen, if you don't come to school, you're not going to stay in this program. So we let them choose at Leslie County, and we've got kids, and that's another way our attendance. I've got kids that if I didn't let them be in welding, they drop out. They wouldn't come to school. So we let them choose their pathway, and then we stick them. We say, if you're going to stay in this pathway, you got to come to school. And also it's kind of a real life exercise too, because my father welded for years for a coal company. If he wasn't at work, he didn't have a job. You didn't miss a lot of work where he worked at. And we're trying to teach kids real world lessons that they've got to be at school. And if we don't, with attendance, we're setting them up for failure. Do you have any questions? Through grant, we're so lucky. Here's the deal. There's a lot of grant money out there, and when you're a poor district like Leslie, we write everything. 21st Century, Gear Up. We've got a great relationship with Gear Up.
Almost half of the stuff up here.
Yeah, we write everything, and we keep writing them. And I'd written this grant for years myself, and one of my teachers that I've been in her room a lot, and she's one of these teachers you need to kind of keep up. You gotta keep an eye on her. But she wrote this grant that I'd written for years and got it. And I thought, I'd written it for like 10 years, and they even put me up for consideration. She wrote the first time, got $50,000, and I was like, so it's true. It's true. Question.
We actually want to build on that. Under ESSA, under the new accountability system and Title I funding, you're going to be able to use a lot of that funding for the kind of services
Absolutely.
we had to write grants for in the past.
Yeah.
7% of Title I funding is towards providing services to students that are non-academic.
And the clinic is so great because Leslie's such a big county. Our buses run 2,200 miles a day in Leslie. 2,200 miles a day is what they run. So instead of a kid coming from the end of one county and going to the clinic in Hyden or the hospital in Hyden, they get on the bus, they come there to the clinic, they go, they get treatment. We got a great nurse practitioner. The doctor will come down if he needs to or whatever. So it's really helped. But we're not to where Betsy Lane's at right now with attendance, but we're on our way. Hopefully, we can keep building. Any other questions? All right. Thank you.